Welcome to Speak in Style English. If you want to speak English naturally and confidently in everyday life, well, you are exactly in the right place, and I am absolutely thrilled you're here. In today's explainer, we're going to master precision by looking at some commonly confused English words. We'll break down their meaning, the grammar behind them, their pronunciation, and learn exactly how native speakers actually use them in everyday situations. So, what if I told you that mastering just a few everyday English sentences could instantly make you sound more fluent? Seriously, it's completely true. Stay with me here because today we're learning expressions you'll actually use at home, at the office, or hanging out with friends every single day. Look, we aren't going to memorize some heavy textbook, no way. Instead, we're going to look closely at these tricky word pairs that trip up so many learners, and we'll fix them together. All right, let's dive right into this. Actions, movement, and resting. Let's kick things off with a classic pair, look versus see. Now, what's really interesting about this first pair is the core difference in intention. Look means you intentionally direct your eyes towards something. You're making a physical, deliberate effort. See, on the other hand, well, it's completely natural. It simply means to notice something with your eyes. You know, your eyes are open and the visual information just comes to you without any extra effort on your part. Let's see this in action. For look, imagine the actual effort. Look at the beautiful sunset. You're telling someone to actively turn their head and focus. Or, please look at the board. He looked out of the window. Now, contrast that with see. I can see the mountains. You aren't trying hard. They're just sitting there in the distance. Did you see my message? We saw a rainbow yesterday. You were literally just walking along, and boom, you noticed a rainbow. The absolutely crucial point here is effort versus natural perception. Let's move to our next pair and see how this builds our fluency. Rise versus raise. Okay, here is the secret to never confusing these two again. Rise is an action that happens all on its own. Something goes up by itself. But raise, that requires a person. You need to physically lift or increase something. Think of it like this. Rise is independent, but raise definitely needs a helper. Let's check out the examples. The sun rises in the east. The sun does this all on its own, right? Nobody is up there pushing it into the sky. Prices continue to rise. He rose from his chair. Now look at raise. Please raise your hand. You have to physically use your muscles to lift your hand up. They raised the flag. The company raised salaries. Someone deliberately took an action to lift those things up. Oh boy, now this is a notoriously tricky pair, even for native speakers. Lie versus lay. So the crucial point here is whether or not you have an object in your hands. Lie means to rest or recline. It takes no object at all. You just do it yourself. Lay, however, means to put something down. It absolutely needs an object. You can't just lay, you have to lay something. Let's walk through some highly relatable household scenarios. I need to lie down. I'm exhausted. My body is doing the resting. The cat is lying on the sofa. The book lay on the table. Now that last one is past tense, but the book is the thing doing the resting. Okay, now let's grab an object. Please lay the books on the desk. You have books in your hand and you put them down. She laid the baby in the crib. He laid the keys on the counter. You are actively placing an item down. Very similar to our last pair, we have sit versus set. Sit is the personal, physical act of seating yourself. You're putting your own body in a chair. Set, on the other hand, is the specific action of placing a distinct item in a particular spot. Let's anchor these concepts visually. Please sit here. You're just asking someone to take a seat. They sat quietly. She likes to sit by the window. Just imagine the peace of seating yourself by a window with a nice cup of tea. Now, Let's look at set. Set the glass on the table. You're taking an object and placing it. She set the alarm for 6 a.m. He set the bag beside the door. You're establishing a place or a state for an object. All right, now let's get a little competitive. Win versus beat. Both of these are about success, but the subtle dynamics are totally different. You win an event, a game, or a prize. You're gaining victory over a situation. But you beat an opponent. You physically or competitively defeat a specific person or a specific team. Listen to how native speakers naturally phrase these competitive moments. Our team won the match. The match is the event itself. She won first prize. I hope we win. Now let's shift your focus to the opponent. India beat Australia yesterday. They defeated a specific rival. He beat his opponent easily. We beat them by 2 goals. You always win the game, but you beat the player. Our last pair in the action category is do versus make. This brilliantly illustrates how English separates routine from creation. Do is strictly reserved for carrying out tasks, chores, or work. You're just performing an action. Make, however, is the magic word. It's used when you are actually creating, building, or producing something entirely new that just didn't exist before. Let's contrast these everyday routines. I have to do my homework. It's a task. She does the laundry every Sunday. The clothes already exist, you're just washing them. We did our best. But look at the creative process of make. She made a cake. Flour, eggs, and sugar magically became a cake. Please make a decision. You're producing a brand new thought. They made a mistake. They created an error. Comparisons and context. First up in this group, like versus as. This is all about how we connect ideas. Like is used to compare 2 similar things. You're basically saying thing A resembles thing B. As, however, is used to describe a person's actual function, their job, or the reality of the role they're playing. Listen to how vivid these comparisons are with like. He runs like a cheetah. He isn't actually a cheetah, he just shares a similar speed. She sings like a professional. This tastes like chicken. Now look at the reality of as. She works as a teacher. She actually is a teacher. I spoke as the team leader. That is my real role. He served as captain. Next, let's look at a critical spelling and meaning distinction that catches out so many people when they write and speak. Than with an A versus then with an E. Than with an A is strictly for comparisons, period. Then with an E refers to time. It tells the listener what happens next, moving the narrative forward. Let's practice connecting our thoughts here. For comparison, she is taller than her sister. This book is better than that one. I'd rather stay home than go out. You're weighing 2 options against each other. Now for time and sequence. Finish your homework, then play. One thing happens and next comes the other. We had dinner and then watched a movie. Back then, life was simpler. It's all about the timeline. Okay, let's demystify a formal grammar rule that scares a lot of people. Who versus whom. It's actually quite simple once you get the hang of it. Who is the subject of the sentence? It's the person actively performing the action. Whom is the object? It's the person receiving the action. Here's a pro tip. If you can replace the word with he or she, use who. If you can replace it with him or her, use whom. Let's practice speaking these out loud together so you can really internalize the feeling. Who is calling? The person is doing the calling. Who wrote this letter? Who wants some coffee? Now, receiving the action. Whom did you invite? You did the inviting, they received it. To whom should I speak? Whom are you waiting for? See how elegant that sounds when you get it exactly right? We have reached our final foundational grammar essential for today, which versus that. Which introduces bonus, non-essential information. If you completely remove the which clause, the sentence still makes perfect sense. That introduces essential information. If you remove the that clause, the core meaning of the sentence just falls apart. Notice the natural conversational pauses we use with which. My car, which is blue, is parked outside. The fact that it's blue is just a fun bonus detail. The book, which I borrowed yesterday, is excellent. Paris, which is the capital of France, attracts millions of tourists. Contrast that with the directness of that. The book that you lent me is interesting. Without that you lent me, we wouldn't know which book you're even talking about. The student that won the prize is my friend. This is the phone that I bought yesterday. Disinterested versus uninterested. Okay, let's dive into this classic pair that honestly, even native speakers mix up from time to time. At a high level, there's a really clear distinction here. Disinterested means neutral and unbiased. Basically, it means you don't have a personal advantage in a situation. On the other hand, uninterested simply means you just don't care. You have no interest at all. Let's look a little closer at disinterested. Like we said, it means neutral and unbiased. Now, why do people use it? Well, to show that someone is fair and won't take sides. Who usually says it? You'll hear this from professionals, maybe lawyers or journalists, when they're talking about fairness. For example, if you're in court, you want a judge who doesn't secretly favor one side, right? You want them to be totally fair. Now let's practice the pronunciation. I'll read these 3 examples at a normal native speed. Listen to the rhythm and try to repeat after me. We need a disinterested judge. She gave a disinterested opinion. A disinterested observer reported the facts. Notice how smooth that flows? Now compare that to uninterested. This just means not interested, bored. You simply don't care. When do you use this? In everyday situations when a topic just doesn't capture your attention. Literally anyone can say this, whether you're talking about a movie, a hobby, or a conversation. Let's practice these examples too. Listen to how naturally a native speaker would say these. He seemed uninterested in sports. The students were uninterested in the lecture. I'm uninterested in gossip. So remember the crucial point here. A judge should be disinterested, but hopefully you are not uninterested in this explainer. Remember versus remind. Let's move on and see how this next pair builds up your everyday vocabulary. The absolute most crucial difference here is the direction of the action. Remember is an internal action, meaning it happens inside your own brain. You are keeping something in your memory. Remind, though, is an external action. You are doing something to help someone else remember, or something else is helping you remember. Let's break down remember first. It means to keep something in your memory. Who says this? Everyone. When do you use it? Well, when a memory comes back to you naturally, or when you're trying to recall past events. Imagine you're talking to a friend about a great vacation. Here is exactly how you would use it in natural conversation. Listen closely. I remember your birthday. Do you remember his name? I'll always remember this trip. In all of these, you do the remembering yourself. No one is helping you do it. But remind is a bit different. This is when someone or something helps bring that memory back to you. In daily life, you use this when you ask someone to give you a nudge, or when a smell, a sound, or a picture brings back a memory. Let's grasp the rhythm of these everyday sentences. Try saying them with me. Please remind me tomorrow. She reminded him to call his mother. That song reminds me of my childhood. Notice that second one. She did the action of reminding so that he could remember. That right there is the magic difference. Discover versus invent. All right, are you ready for the next one? These two words are completely different in their origins, which honestly is a super common trap for language learners. Discovering is for finding things that already exist but were just hidden or unknown. Inventing, on the other hand, is for brand new creations, things that literally never existed before someone made them. Let's take a look at discover. Like we said, it means to find something that already exists. Who uses it? Scientists, explorers, detectives, or honestly, even you. When you find a cool hidden cafe in your city, the planet, the map, the truth, they were already there just waiting to be found. Let's practice delivering these sentences confidently. Scientists discovered a new planet. We discovered an old map. She discovered the truth. Now, invent means to create something completely new. Before the inventor came along, this thing was not anywhere in the universe. It's a product of human imagination and engineering. Let's look at these real-life, historical, and everyday situations. I'll read them clearly and confidently for you. Thomas Edison invented the practical light bulb. She invented a useful gadget. Who invented the telephone? You see, you can't discover the telephone because it wasn't just hiding in a forest somewhere. It had to be invented.
Daily actions and movement. Now take a look at this. Notice the really subtle spelling difference here that completely changes the whole meaning. Over on the left, we have all together, written as two separate words. This simply means everyone or everything is in one physical place, or they're doing something at the exact same time. On the right, we have all together as one single word, which means completely or in total. So the crucial takeaway here is two words equals one physical group, while one word equals a complete total. Make sense? Let's look at these in action. Listen closely to how I say them at a natural speed. We sang all together. Put the books all together. The family ate dinner all together. Do you hear how it's all about a group being in one place? Okay, now the other side. The trip cost $500 altogether. I altogether forgot about the meeting. It was altogether a wonderful experience. Notice how in that second set, it literally just means completely. And this brilliantly illustrates our next pair, emigrate versus emigrate. Man, a lot of students get these mixed up. So, emigrate, starting with an E, is strictly about exiting or leaving your country to live somewhere else. Just think E for exit. Immigrate, on the other hand, with an I, is about coming into another country to live there. Think I for in. Simple as that. Let's bring these location-based actions to life, all right? They emigrated from India. Many families emigrated for better jobs. He plans to emigrate next year. See, they are actively leaving. Conversely, they immigrated to Canada. She emigrated with her family. Thousands immigrate every year. In these cases, they are arriving. Business, rules, and ethics. Okay, look at this highly confusing trio. Assure, insure, and insure. To get this right, you just need to ask yourself who or what is receiving the action. You assure a person, you give them confidence, you promise them. You insure a situation, meaning you make certain something actually happens. And you insure an object or a life, meaning you provide financial protection against loss. Let's build your confidence with these real-world office and daily contexts. I assure you everything is fine. She assured him of her support. They assured us that help was coming. Right? Now for insure. Please ensure the door is locked. This system ensures safety. We must ensure everyone understands. And finally, our financial one, insure. I insured my car last week. You should insure your house. They insured the shipment. Next up, we have illegal versus illegitimate. Now, if something is illegal, you are actively breaking the law. Like the police could actually get involved. But if something is illegitimate, it just means it's not officially valid, logical, or accepted according to the rules, even if, no actual laws are technically broken. To make this perfectly clear, check out these examples. It is illegal to steal. Illegal parking is fined. They were involved in illegal activities. That's the law. But look at illegitimate. The claim was illegitimate. They questioned the illegitimate decision. The website appeared illegitimate. It's just not officially valid or recognized. That's the whole shebang there. Let's move on to our next pair, moral versus morale. Pay close attention to the E at the end of morale. Moral, without the E, relates to your personal ethical values of right and wrong. Morale, with the E, is a totally different thing. It's all about overall confidence or team spirit. For any managers or office professionals listening to this, you really need to get this terminology absolutely right. Ethics first. Honesty is a moral value. It was a moral responsibility. She faced a moral dilemma. Okay, now let's look at team spirit. Team morale is high. Good leadership improves morale. The victory boosted employee morale. Time, frequency, and choices. Have you ever wondered if rain is continual or continuous? Well, the distinction is actually super simple. Continual means an action happens repeatedly, but with breaks in between. Continuous, on the other hand, means it happens without ever stopping or pausing, literally not even for a single second. Listen closely to these examples. The baby made continual cries. We had continual interruptions. His continual complaints annoyed everyone. See how those all pause and then start up again? Now for continuous. It rained continuously for hours. The machine runs continuously. She worked for 3 continuous hours. There is absolutely zero break in that action. None. All right, now let's talk about choices. Alternate means every other one, or taking turns back and forth. But alternative means finding a brand new plan or a completely different choice altogether. Here's some sentences so you can immediately use them in real life. We meet on alternate Mondays. They took alternate routes. She works on alternate weekends. You're taking turns, right? Conversely, we need an alternative plan. Is there an alternative solution? Solar power is an alternative energy source. See, that's a completely different option. Okay, let's look at our first pair. It's versus its. So the absolute most crucial point here is that it's, without an apostrophe, shows possession. It just means something belongs to an animal, a place, or a thing. Listen to how native speakers use these examples. The dog wagged its tail. Every country has its own culture. The company changed its logo. Now, what's really interesting is the contraction, it's with an apostrophe. This is simply a shortcut. It's a short form of it is or it has. We use this constantly in spoken English. For example, it's raining outside. It's a beautiful day. It's been a long journey. Notice how quickly and smoothly those words just run together? Let's move to our next pair, and you'll see how this really builds your confidence. Your versus your. Just like that last pair we looked at, your without the apostrophe shows possession. It means it belongs to you. Here are the examples. Your bag is on the table. Is this your phone? I like your idea. Now contrast that with your, with an apostrophe. This is just the short form of you are. Listen really closely to the pronunciation in these examples. You're very kind. You are doing a great job. I think you're right. Right? They sound almost identical, but the grammar and the meaning are entirely different. And this brilliantly illustrates our third pronoun pitfall, their versus their. So their, spelled T-H-E-I-R, shows possession for a group of people. Let's read the examples together. Their house is beautiful. The children finished their homework. I met their parents. On the other hand, there, spelled T-H-E-R-E, refers to a physical place or an existence. Check out these examples. Put the books over there. There is a park nearby. We went there yesterday. Let's do a quick summary here just to lock this in your memory. It's, your, and their are all about who owns what. They show possession. The other forms are either contractions, meaning, two words squished into one, like it is or you are, or in the case of there, it's pointing to a location. So when you're writing or speaking, just take a second and ask yourself, am I talking about ownership or am I taking a shortcut for two words? The tricky twins. Words that look or sound alike. Let's explore some word pairs that sound almost exactly identical but actually serve very different purposes in your daily office or school life. First up in this group, principal versus principal. Principal, the one ending in PAL, refers to a person, like the head of a school, or it can mean the most important thing. Let's look at these examples. The principal addressed the students. Safety is our principal concern. She met the school principal. Now, principle ending in PLE is a rule, a belief, or a basic truth. Listen to how native speakers use this one. Honesty is an important principle. He follows strong moral principles. The machine works on a simple principle. Let's move to a pair that honestly confuses even native speakers sometimes. Stationary versus stationary. The one with an A, stationary, means not moving, kind of like a parked car. Here are the examples. The car remains stationary. Please keep the camera stationary. The train was stationary at the station. But stationary with an E refers to your writing materials. Paper, envelopes, pens. Let's read these examples together. I bought some stationery. She needs pens and other stationery. The office ordered new stationery. A really great trick to remember this? The E in stationery stands for envelopes. Now, what's really interesting about this next pair is just how positive it is. Compliment versus compliment. Compliment with an I means praise or admiration. It's when someone says something nice to you. Examples: she gave me a nice compliment. He complimented her cooking. Thank you for the compliment. On the flip side, compliment with an E means something that completes or goes really well with another thing. Think of it like a perfect match. Here are the examples. This tie complements your suit. The wine complements the meal. Their skills complement each other. Let's quickly recap these tricky twins. We have principal, the person, versus principal, the rule. Stationary, the parked car, versus stationary, the writing paper. And compliment, the praise, versus compliment, the perfect match. I promise you, mastering these subtle differences is exactly what helps intermediate learners and professionals speak and write natural English with total, absolute confidence. The subtle shifts, small changes in spelling, big changes in meaning. These are the words that can completely alter the message of your entire sentence if you aren't careful. So let's dive right into them. First up, lose versus loose. So the crucial point to remember here is that lose with just one O is a verb. It means to misplace something or to fail. Listen to these examples. Don't lose your keys. Our team might lose the match. I don't want to lose this opportunity. But loose with a double O is an adjective. It means not tight. Check out how it's used in real life. My shirt is too loose. The screw is loose. Wear loose clothing in summer. Next, let's look at historic versus historical. Historic means an event was incredibly important in history, like it made a massive impact. Let's read the examples. It was a historic victory. We visited a historic monument. The agreement was a historic event. Historical, however, simply means related to history, whether it was a super important event or not. For example, I enjoy reading historical novels. The museum displays historical artifacts. She studies historical events. Let's move on to a pair that hits close to home for a lot of us: economic versus economical. Economic relates to the big picture, the economy or the finances of a whole country or business. Examples: the country faces economic challenges. Economic growth has improved. They discussed economic policies. But economical is all about your wallet. It means saving money, saving resources, or just being cost-effective. Let's read these examples. This car is economical to drive. LED bulbs are more economical. She is economical with her spending.
Our last pair in this group is especially versus specially. Especially with an E at the front means particularly or above all. You use it when you really want to highlight something. Let's look at the examples. I love fruit, especially mangoes. This book is especially useful for beginners. She enjoys traveling, especially in winter. Specially without that starting E means something was done for a specific, distinct purpose. Here are the examples. This room was specially designed for children. The gift was specially made for you. The equipment was specially built for the project.
Let's do a quick recap of the subtle shifts. Lose means misplace. Loose means not tight. Historic means important. Historical just means related to the past. Economic is about the broad economy. Economical is about saving money. Especially highlights something. Specially means for a specific purpose. Seriously? Noticing these tiny shifts will prevent so many common mistakes and instantly elevate your daily spoken English.
Your daily fluency plan, turning knowledge into confidence.
Okay, we have covered a lot of fantastic ground today. Let's transition from the grammar rules into practical application, because I want you to take all this great knowledge and turn it into genuine, real-world confidence. I want you to really take this next thought to heart. Fluency doesn't come from memorizing hundreds of sentences. It comes from understanding and using one sentence correctly every day. You don't need to be perfect all at once. Actually, scratch that. You shouldn't even try to be perfect all at once. Pick just one of the pairs we discussed today. Maybe it's or stationery and stationery, and just try using it in a real conversation or an email today. Real fluency is built step by step through consistent daily practice. If you enjoyed today's explainer, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Speak in Style English, and share this with a friend who also wants to improve their English. But right before you go, I want you to ask yourself, which of these confusing word pairs are you going to conquer in your very next email? Think about it. I will see you in the next lesson with more everyday life sentences. Until then, keep practicing, keep speaking, and keep improving. Goodbye.